got here as P1. We could draw a line from P back to the vanishing point, but that will be behind the beam. So it will be, I can show you, for example, it's actually out of sight, so there's no real need to draw that. We'll repeat the exercise for the beam on the right hand side. So we've got T1 back to the vanishing point, S1, and then we have S. And as before, because T is going to be lost behind the beam in this perspective, we don't need to draw that line through. So now we've got our beams running back from the front of the space towards the rear wall in perspective. We need to understand where they cut on that line, so we can follow the same principle as before. We know that point R, we bring that back to the station point where that intersects the picture plane. We draw a line down through, and that is the end of the beam. So R1, R and R1, if we follow that through back through perspective, we know that that is that point there. And where this meets, we know that's the underside of the beam. So as before, we just draw a horizontal line back across, and then that is point P1 and R1 where they both meet. You can clearly see that that runs, the beam runs back, and then it meets, runs horizontally and then up. So that is the base of our beam. And just to show you, if we want to tidy that up quickly, we've got that like so. And we just need to do the same for the beam on the right hand side. We find point S, the outside of the beam in plan, bring that back to the station point. Where that crosses the picture plane, again we bring that down. And where that crosses S and S1, we know that that's the edge of the beam, and then we can draw a horizontal line through. And you'll realise soon that a lot of these things are interconnected and linked together, because we know that this beam is the same height here, so you could quite easily have run the beam through from the underside, and then where that line intersects with this, we know that we could just draw a vertical line up, and then you'll see the edge. But as we have here, this is our sort of first phase of the perspective. It may look a little confusing, but what you just need to do is go through and tidy that up. So we've used a series of known points. So we've got known dimensions which are on our picture plane. We have known dimensions which are on our plan. So that's to scale, as is the picture plane. We've located our vanishing point. So we have our ground line, and we've got our horizontal line, or horizon line, sorry, which is also eye level in this case, which is about 1.6 meters above the ground. We've brought that across, and where our center line intersects that, which is taken from our station point, we have our vanishing point, and then everything is brought from that point, which has given us our perspective. So we started with a base drawing. This is the reference drawing for with dimensions, which we'll issue if you're drawing this by hand. We started off understanding the cone of vision, where the horizon and ground line fall, and where the centre line of vision is in relation to the station point. And from there we have worked our perspective, 1 point perspective drawing up. This is stage 2, which we'll talk about shortly. But actually, we can talk about that shortly, but we can have a quick look at this now. This is understanding how we're going to work up the rear window. And I could run through this step by step, but the principles are all of the same, so I'll have a go at that yourselves. Just locate the rear window, understand where the mullions and the glazing is and the door is in plan, bring these lines through the picture plane down into your elevation, and then you can locate the rear window there in perspective. Yeah, have a go at that yourself, and if you've got any issues with that, just be in touch. But then what we should end up with, once all of the working lines, unnecessary working lines are cleared away, we've got a simple 1 point perspective which you have drawn yourselves. So yeah, good luck and well done. If you need any help, just get in touch via Teams and we can talk through these in your tutorials. Cool. Bye.